Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's question and answer session, where we have Mr. Chris Palmer, Holly Starks, Randy Rhode, and we've actually got a few more people in the background here. James Dooley, Kazra, Gary Wilson, and Luke, who are over there chatting some shit. But between all of us, we have a wealth of information, and in particular, Holly Starks and her 100 phones and all that stuff, Randy Rhode and all of the stuff he does, and Chris Palmer. So it's a big one-off extravaganza, if you like. So, get your questions in the chat. Make sure you do like and subscribe, and just keep the questions coming. We will try and go through as many of these questions as we possibly can. We have not me, Jose, who couldn't be here. He'll watch later. So hello, Jan, Gary Farmer, Mithen, Paul Hogden, LinkedIn user, Craig Mullins. We have a party. We've got everyone in today. This is the party of all parties. So we have guys in the background here, Dooley, who doesn't speak publicly. If you want to grab a few questions from him, get his ass here, because I've got him chained to the chair. He ain't moving. We'll extract what we can from this guy. And Craig Mullins is asking, Chris, was that SEO Mastery Summit your first conference?
Second, that I guess made it distributed more than, like 1,000 people. So yes, I would assume so. Yes.
That's good to get that done. So you've got to be very lucky, as these people are saying. James Moore's here as well. So get the questions coming. You've got Holly Starks, who's over in Cleveland with Randy. Holly has been trying some GMB stuff. She was in page 3 prior to starting. She's got them onto page 1. We all know Holly Starks runs around with 100 phones, or whatever that amount of phones is. If you've got questions on that stuff, get them here, because we don't always have Holly on. So take advantage. Don't ask me anything. Ask Chris, Holly, Randy, or any of the guys in the background here if you've got any questions, and we can answer them. So
I do have. Can I ask Holly a question?
Well, you can do it.
So, Holly, how many phones did you bring to Cleveland, by the way?
So I have a collection of 700 phones that are Apple, and then I have 200 phones that are Androids. But for most driving circumstances, you only really need 100. So I have 100 phones with me. So every day I drive. Like Monday, I take 10. Tuesday, I take that 10 and then another 10. Wednesday, I'll take Monday's 10, Tuesday's 10, Wednesday's 10, and then I'll do another drive. So today I'll have 40 phones. By the end of the week, I'll have all 100 phones.
Oh, wow.
Jan is asking, do you search one term with all of the phones and drive from one direction, or how does it actually work when you're doing this stuff?
So it works best if the first day you do just broad brand searches, just to get them a little bit warmed up. And actually, to be honest, I started a couple of weeks at my house doing a little bit of CTR. So by the time I get there, that GMB is prepared for all of the traffic that I'm going to send. So I'll do the brand searches before I even get there. And then like day one, I'll do a few, and then I'll have like a list of 10 keywords generally. And then I'll do like phone number 2 and 3 will do this keyword, 4 and 5 will do the next keyword. And then on day 2, it will do that same keyword. That keyword always follows that phone, basically. But yeah, ideally you want to have like between 10 and 20 keywords. So you have a good selection. So you're not just trying to say rank for towing, you're trying to rank for towing Cleveland or whatever the term is.
Do you do like the generic, like towing near me, or?
Yeah. So like towing near me, or any of the near me terms. Yeah.
Good towing company, stuff like that.
Yeah. Like cheap towing.
Yeah.
Scott Latham is saying, hello, legends. Good to see the PR king joining the three amigos of SEO. So make sure if you've got any PR things, and Randy doesn't just do PR, by the way. Randy likes SEO. He does embeds for GMBs and a bunch of other stuff. So if you get any questions for Randy Rhode, do get them in here.
Thank you, Scott.
We do have a question for Chris, though. So Chris is very quiet there in the background, and I know Chris is probably going to have questions to ask Holly as well, so we will get to that. But Nathan is asking, what's the best way, Chris, to increase EAT of a blog technology related?
I mean, I think following the basic guidelines is going to get you to your trust and your authority. You know, I think building your quality, relevant, topical links and following just regular basic recommendations are going to get you on track to taking care of your EAT signals. So I would just build a proper page, and I wouldn't be too concerned about chasing down blogs to hyper optimize against EAT. That's me.
I'm sure Randy would disagree with that and say you've got to do a bit of PR and stuff to get.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Pump those PRs out there. That's build some PR, do a little PR stacking, and do some interlinking and linking out to some of your authority foundational links as well. Sure.
You've got to do what you need to do, but everyone's got different opinions and different.
I think that counts as a link.
All helps. Another Chris question. Chris, I'm in the German market, building links on mostly German.de domains. Would it harm my website to build links on English sites?
Well, I mean, based upon your leading competition, I mean, what is their distribution of links, their IPs? I mean, what you're commonly going to find is it's going to be a lot of distribution. So I'm just trying to. If you're building other links, it's not going to be a problem. I wouldn't just hyper focus on US only, but I think that having a mix should be perfectly fine.
Cool. And Holly, would you, because you obviously do things and are you focusing in one country, or do you see it as mix it up and get power from elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, a link is a link to Google. They don't really care if it's .de or.
That's what I always tell people all the time, actually, in regards to press releases. Even like they'll hit me up like, hey, I'm out here and whatever is your press releases, if it's in Spain or something and it's a Spanish sign, like link is a link. It's not going to matter, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, Google just wants to see the link. They really don't care if it's a TDL,
Also, guys, live IRL fan, you can ask YouTube questions. That's Holly's bag. She is the YouTube queen. TikTok, I'm not so sure if anyone's a great expert here, but you can ask them.
Craig, you're working at it, though.
Yeah, I think Craig's got that one.
I'm playing with it, but definitely not an expert. I know I take over the chat, but batter your questions in here. We're more than happy to answer them. And whilst Holly Starks is here, Holly has done some weird and wonderful things on YouTube over the years. So take full advantage of Holly being here. Don't forget, Mr. Dooley is also here waiting for someone to ask him a good question. Get Dooley involved in that.
Man on the planet.
So, guys, keep the questions coming. You're all very quiet today, guys. I'm assuming people are just like, these guys are here and a bit maybe starstruck. I don't know. But Jan has a question. Holly, let's say we have one plumbing company. Do you build one YouTube video for that, or would it be multiple?
I mean, you have one plumbing company. I probably would do a few YouTube citation videos. So I'd probably do like 5 to 7 YouTube citation videos. And then I mean, it kind of depends upon your budget, but you could build a video for each set of keywords. So a set of keywords means like this video has these 7 keywords that are very closely related. The next video has the next 7. The next video has the next 7. That way you're not confusing YouTube and Google on what that video should rank for. But I would definitely start with the citations first and then go to the other videos. You don't need to have like, for one plumbing company, I mean, like you don't need to have thousands of videos. You could have like 50 videos. It'd be fun.
I think Chris is a big advocate of if he wants to go after the term black hat SEO on YouTube. I would be right in saying, Chris, you think like launch multiple videos around black hat to become an authority for that term. That's your kind of strategy, right?
I just saw that to be effective. I don't. Yeah, it just molded into a strategy. Yes, it seemed that's what worked.
I think the problem with having so many videos is you have to make sure that video stays indexed and gets traffic. It says, let's say like you have 50 videos, but only 2 videos get traffic. Those 2 videos are the only ones that are going to rank. So if you can't create traffic on those 50 videos, you're wasting your energy. Do the 2 videos that you can get the traffic on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure there's other things you guys can be asking there. Pay for 1 and get 4, starstruck from ZA Electrical. Tommy Finnan. Hi guys, so I have a client in Ireland with a .com domain. The client is now looking to break into some cities in the US. Is it an idea to build location pages, although these cities are not in Ireland?
For me, if he wants to break into a new market, you could utilize that domain, but I think the better way to be optimal is I'd probably just go for a US domain that's targeting those keywords that's centralized in the United States if that's my new market. I don't see why I would. That's what I would do. I think that would be the optimal way to go about it.
Randy or Holly, you anything to add to that?
I'll wait till Randy answers.
Well, it's the TLD is a .com, so
it should technically rank in the US if it's a .com.
That's what I'm thinking. So if it's a .com, then I would just do a silo for the United States, and I would do it as states probably, and then list the state and then the cities within the state that you're trying to rank for. So I would do a strong kind of a micro silo that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out and buy a new site.
No, I wouldn't either.
I can prove that keyword or that product gets the traffic that would need a new site. But
yeah,
it's only $12, but still, you might as well just hijack the one you got.
Right. Yeah, so I would do like states like Ohio, and then coming off of Ohio, I would do whatever the cities are that you want to hit, like Cleveland, and then build out that Cleveland page with the services and the local, the geo relevance content for Cleveland, and start building from there.
Yeah, I didn't take note of that. I'm going to go with Randy's answer on that. I didn't notice the .com there. You could get away with that. So yeah, I read Ireland, and my answer was, but Randy's right. I was wrong.
Now, this is going to be a part where I can actually drag Dooley into this one. So Vicky Verma's asking, if I want a business, if I want to rank a business in Singapore, will making separate pages for all the places in Singapore help? But also, going on to that, Jan has also asked, if we have many location pages, should we be adding YouTube iframes in all of those pages? So Dooley, who's here, who I'm going to turn the camera to, Dooley has a lot of mass page lead gen websites. So he's adding locations for everything that he can possibly do. So Dooley, do you add YouTube embeds to the pages? And would you, if you were going to go for Singapore, would you literally be spamming every city, town, fucking postcodes?
Yes, in a nutshell, what I'd do is I would create a page for every single location, so every single town or suburb. I won't do it for every postcode, but I do it for every town or suburb. With regards to doing iframes and doing basically embeds of any videos, I'd probably only try to start doing it on the ones that actually get search volume. even as low as 10 monthly searches is fine. I probably won't start going creating all the videos for every single one of them, but I would certainly, let's say there's 5,000 suburbs and villages in towns in Singapore. I'd create the 5,000 pages, and then maybe the top 500, I would then create a dedicated video for each one of those, for each location.
By the way, I have to actually celebrate here because I think that might be the first time this guy's ever spoken publicly live on a channel. I mean, he's obviously been to events and talks to people, but he is one of those guys that doesn't want to help guys in their boxer shorts at home, stealing all these knowledge bombs. Oh, that's his excuse anyway. But yeah, I broke him down and finally got him to somehow speak somewhere. But Vidioot is asking for quick advice on an affiliate website. What is the process? You need to be more specific than that, Vidioot, because that's a long-winded answer. It could take Holly 3 hours to answer that question properly. So we're only really looking for questions specific to certain things today because we've got multiple people here and want to try and get as much value as we can out of everyone. Builder Elgho, how to get high quality do follow backlinks and how to get a partnership for exchanging link building. So Chris, can you cover this?
If somebody's able to utilize and or able to get, high quality links, or they have a provider or a PBN provider, it's going to be really hard for them to tell you, hey, go here and get this, so I don't know. What does Randy think about that?
Pass the frickin' puck there, Chris. Way to go, dude. How to get high quality do follow backlinks. Well, I think there are a few things that you could probably do, but Holly and I were just kind of talking about this to begin with. So when you're saying, let's break this down, high quality. So what does that actually mean, right? How are you defining high quality? Chris, how would you define high quality?
Throwing it back.
Like a little volleyball. Back to you, Chris.
I think high quality to me is the URL and the title, and the H1 relevant to the page that it's going to be linking to. So that would be a high quality link if I can get a contextual link on a page that's hyper focused on my niche over relevant of the overall domain. I would consider that to be a high quality link if the metrics were in order.
Right. So that's as well. So Holly and I were talking about metrics on sites and like whether a DR, whether that really matters or not.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Holly's like Holly doesn't. It's like it's in the garbage. Doesn't matter anything.
I mean, you can pick a metric every day of the week. So
yeah.
Do you want to get a high quality backlink on a shit metric, which really shows it's a good metric, but really it's a shit site? Or do you want to get a link? A link is a link is a link.
I was going to say, links. Look at Holly's news network as well. Just go and buy that shit.
Well, that's
it really doesn't.
I completely agree. That's where I was trying to go with the high quality stuff, because sometimes these sites, they may not necessarily, if you look at them from an Ahrefs metric standpoint, they may or they may not necessarily go like, oh, that's a great DR and I really want that, or there'd be a 0. But I don't think, Holly and I were just talking about it, I don't think it really matters what that metric is, because especially like in a press release or on the Google News sites, it's a link from a Google News site or a high quality press release like the Associated Press or something that's going to link to, as long as the linking strategy is sound and solid, you're going to get a solid link and it's going to get indexed immediately, going to be a do follow, permanent do follow.
Another, like, if your on page is shit, it doesn't matter if you have an amazing backlink, because it's not going to rank because your on page is not the right way. So you got to get like your store in order before you can go and buy the backlink, and you got to make sure that your content is popped optimized, so that you have the right interpage linking style, that you know what I mean, before you get the backlinks.
Not good answers. Dooley, anything to add to how do you get high quality links? Do you look at metrics, or do you?
I don't look at metrics. I definitely don't look at DR. The best quality link that you can get is a page that's ranking for the keywords you want your page to rank for. That is the best quality link.
So if I was to ask you right now, do you want a link on a DR20 that's super relevant to you, or a DR50 that's just generic? You would take the relevance.
Relevance.
Cool. Yeah, I would as well. Both. It's a third party.
Or both.
Yeah,
you would want both, technically speaking. We can't have it all.
I mean, the DR50 would be a nice link to show to your client. So there's definitely different ways to approach it. If you have a client that's paying several $1,000s a month, and you can show him a DR50, he's going to be happy. So it's just.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A question for you GMB guys. Can you check what the competition are doing in terms of sending links to their GMBs? Is there any way to reverse engineer that?
I never came across an independent tool that's going to let me check links on a GMB. I think that's an interesting question. I never have. I never saw anything.
Me neither.
I mean, you can check citations. You can just run a citation report against them, but links, no.
Would that pull? So if I was to add some links, say from Holly's News Network, to a GMB that I had, would a citation check pull through Holly's links? No.
Well, I'm guessing not, only because typically those citation tools or checking tools really are looking for a very specific kind of laundry list of citations. So usually like 80, like SEMrush as an example, they're looking at like 89, I think is their pool that they're looking for. So if it's outside of that, they're not even going to list it at all. But, back to this issue about citations, listen, a citation is NAP, and it could be anywhere, right? It could be on a Web 2.0, on a guest post on a Google News site. So those are all citations. But they're not going to get picked up on all of those citation review tools.
Is it me, or does Randy have the best voice? It's like cool, jazz, easy listening. Like, you have the most amazing voice, dude. It sounds so good.
That's only one. That's only one
like
part of me
voice.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah,
He's
awesome.
got a face for the radio, Randy. That's for sure. Sorry, mate. I had to.
that means a lot coming from you, Craig. So.
You sound great.
Yeah, he does. He's got that radio. It was actually weird. When I done a podcast with Randy a couple of months back, it's the first time I had spoken to him in person, and it was just this weird ass radio sound. It was like professional, but I just put it down to the equipment rather than his voice itself. But I agree with you, Chris. But back to that, what was the question before?
GMBs.
Oh, GMBs. Do you know of a way?
We tried to do the CID URL in Ahrefs and other tools like that. You can't check that, but you flip it back on to say, why do you want to check what links that they've got? Generally, you just need as many citations as you can within that listing, and you want as many embeds as you can. And it's more of a volume. On the CID URL, when you're hitting links to that, it is about power. With regards to citations, press releases, embeds, it's just about volume. So I won't go reverse engineering what others have got, and just try and get as much as you can with your information on there.
Yeah.
Good answer. And a good way, I would look at it the same way Dooley does. I'm not really fussed what someone else is doing. I'll throw enough out there, and if it gets me to position B, then I'll do a bit more and a bit more and a bit more of everything. But back to Holly, how do you handle the downside of too many phones radiation? Is that a concern?
No, I don't know. There's no concern. I mean, the phones are only on for like 20 minutes, and I turn them off anyways.
Fucking hell. Is that a thing?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I have them in the front seat. I don't,
If you start seeing Holly in a few weeks,
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about like the police officers that are behind me or on the side of me, where I'm like, make sure I'm going speed limit.
Here's another question from Flowers. Are the USA SEOs targeting the UK like Holly for CBD? Do you guys try and enter our industry?
For Spanish.
I don't know anything about CBD, so I'm not the guy to ask about entering that market.
I mean, I do Spanish.
Spanish.
You do Spanish CBD?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
Spanish almost all the
Oh. I did not. I've not done any Spanish CBD.
Or let me rephrase this for you, Randy. Would you concern yourself out with CBD and trying to target the UK audience for traction, or is that seen as a shit audience for you guys? Because there's enough in America, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there's seems like a hell of a lot of you SEO guys out in the UK. So
yeah,
I would have no need.
CBD anyways right now.
What's that?
It's a really hard niche.
CBD is really hard. I mean, and it's really hard to do something with it because there's so many restrictions. Like there's very few press releases, as an example, very few press release outlets I can get an article on. And if it does, it's really focused just on the company and nothing on the product. So it's tough. You can't advertise for it. So.
Yeah, just make your own network.
Right. Yes.
But Chris, would you never enter the UK? Have you ever targeted the UK?
Only with 2 separate properties. I would, but not for CBD though. No.
Yeah. That. So you're safe CBD flowers.
Yeah. I don't want to mess with that.
Holly, do you use VPNs on your phones for browsing?
No, man, these phones are like 10 years old pieces of crap. They can't, no. I mean, they can barely open Google sometimes. Like, I was thinking about taking Randy on a drive today just so he could experience 30 phones when you literally have to punch and it's like okay, so like I have an XR. It's like half the size of this phone. It's so tiny. You're just sometimes I just throw it because I get there's no VPNs is what I'm saying. It's no way possible.
I've seen close-up photos of Holly's phones and some of the screens are smashed and everything.
Oh yeah, they're totally smashed. Like you have to sort of one eye it and hope you have the right letter in there. Yeah.
So are you just buying like smashed up phones on like eBay and shit like that?
eBay as is.
It's eBay, and then I have like 2 people that are in locally that will sell me them. I mean, because they don't have to be perfect looking, so they're cheaper if it has a smash screen, I guess.
Yeah, digitizer's broke.
And no kidding, I'd be making a contact with like your local high schools and saying, "Listen, I'll buy smashed phones."
I was in the elevator at the hotel when I had 20 phones with me and my 2 hotspots, and some guy got out of the elevator. He's like, "What are you doing with all those phones? Are you selling them?" I was like, "No, but if you have some to sell, I might buy some from you." Really, here's my card. Yeah.
Holly, I have a question. Does IMEI matter, and are you utilizing multiple different companies for service? Are bad IMEIs okay in your instance?
So I'm only going to say that I use Cricket and Verizon. And that's all that I'm going to answer on that question.
So CDMA. Okay, interesting. Okay.
You guys are talking another language. I don't even know what you just said there.
That's interesting.
But it sounded interesting. I'll give you that. Paul Hogden's asking a question to Holly. Holly, you're taking over the show here. I've got a site that I've changed to an affiliate website in the mother and baby niche. Would your news site be a good way to push the rankings?
So that particular niche, so let me say I would have 1,300 sites, but I am 98% positive that we don't have anything in the mother and baby niche. With that said, you can make a post on a general news tab on every site. So even let's say it's a site that's in Ohio, as long as it has a general news tab,
right,
you can still make a link on there. So would be beneficial to push rankings. Yeah. I would be more inclined to to use it as a tier network for that niche, just because I don't have that particular niche, even though I have the general news. So I would push it as a tier.
Makes sense. Any other weird questions, Chris?
I have a couple questions. Sure. Why is it? Do we want questions?
Yeah, no, there's other questions there, but I was just curious.
Oh yeah, run through. No, I always have questions.
I'm come up with the good ones. We need to extract as much as we can out of these guys that are here. So extract the crap out of them. But what we'll do actually, we'll run questions from the general public until Q2. And in the last 15 minutes, we can all ask questions of each other and get this monster involved. Like my VA, I'm trying to get him to build the brand for himself and talk publicly. So we can ask questions amongst ourselves where we can all pick each other's brains. So 15 more minutes of this stuff, and then we can let Chris go wild on Holly and Randy and Dooley, because I know Chris loves that stuff, and he's got that mind to pick the good questions. So hopefully that helped you, Paul. I'll actually say Holly probably has more websites on there than she believes she's got on that news network. I would say also what you can do is make sure that if you're on one of those websites, you can make that page relevant to the baby niche, because you're allowed to make that page whatever you want it to be about. So you can make the relevance there, manipulate that stuff. So check it out. I think for the cost of Holly's network and what it can provide, it's massive value for money. And she is adding. Where are you at, Holly, in terms of numbers on that network?
That we have that you guys has access to is 207, and we're adding in at least probably 75 to 100 sites every week. So we're building out probably 25 to 30 sites an hour right now.
Jesus. And are you actually going to hit 5,000 by, was it the end of March?
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be able to by the end of March because I have melted 4 servers. So, so I think it's probably going to be May 1st, just so that I gives myself time. So like if I have to, because, I had to move like 200 sites off. I'm not going to say the hosting company off to offshore. And that took a couple hours to do that. So, I gave myself enough time that if we have a problem, then I can fix that, I guess.
Is the offshore for DMCA reason?
Yeah. I have a little trolling guy who won't leave me alone.
Yeah.
He has no idea what he's dealing with. Like after like the 6th DMCA, I was like, I went and bought like 20 of the news in his city, and I was like, I'm just going to build 20 in his city and just bury the guy.
Nice.
Holly, someone's asking, where is your this network on your store? Is it even on the Holly Stark store?
It's not on the Holly Stark store. I don't know. I don't even know the URL. I think it's news network dot
it's probably like in your
SEOtech.dev. Austin, if Austin's in the call, he can drop it.
Yeah, Austin, drop the URL there. It's probably in your.
It's on my Facebook.
Facebook, yeah, I think I've seen it there.
It's a really long URL.
I think Craig dropped out here.
Yeah.
Oh,
did
Where'd he go?
Did we lose the feed even or no?
No, the feed. It looks like the feed's running, but
okay,
it's just us.
You were
so
like,
I guess we'll just keep on going. So I think that's an interesting conversation that you guys arose, right? Speaking on the Google sites versus if we're talking about metrics, or really if we break it down farther, referring domains, right? So, okay, go ahead with the questions.
all right, there
yeah, I fucked that up, but yeah, it's. I'll put the link in the live chat for you guys for Holly's News Network. Let me get another question, and I have no idea how I've managed to cut myself off there. By the way, I clicked on something trying to find Holly's stuff and cut myself right off. Well, someone else is talking about radiation. We don't need
You
that.
guys got some radiation issues. I don't understand.
Randy's drive time, blah, 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 blah. Right, so
I think we should set up a drive time Friday.
Randy's drive time. Yeah.
We could YouTube it.
Yeah.
Set up a drive time. I'll see how long it takes you to.
You should YouTube that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yeah. Holly's going to put me to work here. Jeez.
Why don't you do a video on Holly's whole setup and whether she's getting in the boot and what she does before it? Obviously, just make a short clip of that to show the level of work that goes into that, because people think, this is a piss take, but it's obviously a lot of work for Holly to do all that. And yeah, I'd love to see a short video on it. All the phones, just see that. I think it's amazing. I always laugh every time Holly says, like, I bought more phones and all these wires. Definitely do a video on it. Drive time. Even go out and drive to the location. Do like a live thing on a random thing in Cleveland. Like, pick a GMB, like some random one, and just fucking show people the difference and how quickly that does that. So I think that would make for a good video, man. I don't know why I'm giving you good ideas for your channel or whatever. But yeah, do that shit. Live RIL fan, have you guys considered making your own phone farms like you have in China and Vietnam? This would be the Holly setup on steroids. I saw a video of a guy on a bike with 20 phones farming. Is that something you would consider, guys?
I have actually someone who I haven't shown it yet because I wanted to do it like when it wasn't COVID and driving my car. But so it's a hitch on the back of my Jetta, and it has a YT. It has magnets on it, so the phones will just sit on the outside of my car.
Nice.
And it'll light up because it's connected into the battery. So that is going to be like, it's like the bike on, the guy who has the bike with all the phones doing the Pokemon thing. Yeah, I kind of built it for my car.
Would the phone fly off though? Like,
there's magnetic, and if they do, it doesn't matter because they're already broke.
It's a $10 phone anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's just for like the awe, like, holy shit, she really did build that,
That would be quite a sight, like driving down the road and here's this cart with all of these phones on it.
And it's big. It's a big YT. Yeah.
That's funny.
Chris, I know you were big into the Android emulation side of CTR and all that. Would you ever consider doing a farm?
I think that there's an element if I can automate the driving. If I can automate the driving, that would be a masterful way to maybe perhaps do that for certain locations. That's very, very difficult. And that was a question that I was going to arise, to Holly, was driving versus the presence. Have you noticed in the past 60 to 90 days a difference between starting at a central location and moving to a location to increase, the activity levels of that GMB versus having somebody with a device location in a 6-mile vicinity making searches and performing directional requests? So the question really is there a benefit of the driving action to one location to the location compared to maybe just a device location being put there? Have you seen this, especially in the past, you have to drive there. There's no where you can just search in the phone. If you search on the phone and do website searches and clicking on the GMB, that's going to give, some sorts of CTR, but I've not seen anything that is powerful as physically punching it in a mile away, and then driving there, and then the next day do 3 miles away and then driving there. And the revisits, that's why I always take the same phones every single day, and each phone has that phone goes with that keyword. So because it's a revisit. So I think that there's I'm making like a mountain instead of just sending 10 random phones, they're logged in, they have Google account, they have a Instagram, they have a Facebook, they have a YouTube. So it looks like a real phone. It's not just burner phone. And then my question lies in this, when we're on mobile or utilizing the mobile phones, that piece will come up and it'll say, remember this device. So do you think that there's an element there that you've heard of edit this cookie? Because I noticed that they're saving within the storage, right? Of say Safari, because it'll say, hey, remember this device. Am I able to take that and put it into, say, an emulator, do you think that would be effective?
So here's the thing is that the old phones don't have that remember this device. So you don't have that issue. And I don't even know if my XR I've ever seen that where it says remember this device. It might be an Android thing.
No, it's Apple. Apple primarily is what I've been.
I haven't seen it. I know the old phones don't have it though.
Okay.
So I mean, I would guess it doesn't make a difference if my phones. I've not been using it.
Interesting. Well, I was just hoping maybe to carry over that instance from the mobile to put it into emulation. I'm just curious of that. I was just wondering, did you play with that yet? No. Or no, obviously not because you haven't seen it.
I don't see it as like. It kind of goes back to my thing. Like, there's 6 ways of ranking a GMB, say. And this might be on a lower end. So I'm not going to put my time into that lower end thing because I know the 6 things I do is fine. Kind of like I don't like learning things about schema because I don't use schema in any part of my business. 0 things rely on schema for me. So someone like Randy probably does a lot of schema because he has clients and he has a different type of business. So it's not a ranking factor for me, but that doesn't mean I can't use it. It just means that I'm not going to learn it because I know these 6 things work for me.
Fair enough. That makes sense. I was just curious of that element there. That's interesting. Yep. I'm sorry. I was just curious.
Paul Delaney is asking, is there any way to search for hidden links on a web page? Randy, you answered
source
one.
code, right?
Yeah, I think the only way you can go is do the inspect.
Yeah.
You go inspect the page and look for it at the source code level. Chris, you probably have done a little snooping like that.
That's right. We want to look at the source. That's it. I mean, that's the only thing I would do. I don't know of any special tool to just get it.
Link research tools is a good one. Dooley beaten right now, but yeah, he's saying link research tools does that. So it is expensive, but it's sometimes worth paying out for that level of detail. Not Randy, I was going to say Randy Rhode. Paul Hogden, and don't ask me why, I don't know if it's the bald head. I'm confused. But,
beautiful bald head, Paul.
Yeah. So he's another one with a face for the radio. Sorry. What do you think of the announcement from Google about similar URLs being ignored by the Google algorithm, even if the content is unique? How will this affect silos? What's your guys' thought on this? Load of shite or not?
It's a load of shit.
Sounds like a load.
Sounds like a load to me as well.
It's a big load.
Big load.
The patent out there, I'm not
this poor guy.
But we've got information gain. They've had it for a few years. There was always going to be bringing this out. Too many people have jumped on the bandwagon now of writing correlated content, which is, it works, but you do need an information gain. So when you're writing this piece, like your article, if these top 10 pages of best washing machines and they've gone on to number 1 result and then they didn't like what they did and they jumped on to number 2, if you've gone and correlated to what's number 1, they didn't like what's there at number 1 for a reason, so they jumped to number 2. So what Google's having a problem with at the moment is everyone's writing correlated content. And if they didn't like the results from page 1, it wasn't to page 2, they're still not liking it, so they're jumping onto page 3. So for that reason, they're trying to start throwing in some wildcards of results that is different and has got information gains from what's there as well. So I'd say try to write correlated content, but then add in something that's unique and new, that's good. And that's where now they're trying to tackle the problem that they've got with the search and the results.
No. And Google doesn't care anyway. They're going to force rank no matter what. Even if you had, they were the same thing you were looking at anyway. So I wouldn't.
Google purposely about shit like that. Just like content.
Yeah, I know. That's what I think. Is like I think they just throw stuff out there just to get people off the
rattle.
Sky's falling.
Yeah, exactly.
TikTok, Holly using phones. Holly could probably do some damage in TikTok.
That's what I was thinking. Holly should be doing some TikTok business here.
See some
other than
damage.
watching Craig on it, I'm just like, no.
Come on, Holly. You have to. There's traffic to be gained here. I'm not sure.
I put my wife's video on there, but that was it. I was like, I don't have time for that.
Oh, Chris, I forgot. I left my Red Man at home. I should have brought the pack.
You could have been enjoying yourself.
Left the pouch.
Even more.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see if there's any other great questions. We could, Stephen Buchanan saying we could just get Randy to do some WKRP quotes. Dr. Donny Fever.
Live from Cincinnati.
That is such a great voice for
Dude, that is good.
Yeah.
I really like that.
That could
That's
be like a second gig for you.
There we go. Doing voiceovers. I'll do voiceovers. So just shoot me a link. I'll do voiceovers anytime.
I could see like on the newest like tech gadget, they have those animated videos.
And now,
they can just hear you.
Craig Campbell representing ODYS.
You should use that. That's good.
Yeah, I forgot to mention ODYS at the start, by the way. If you're interested in age domains, done for you affiliate websites, check out ODYS. The link's below. Buy up and check.
That's why I said that. It'd kick you in the butt a little bit.
Man, it's all of these guys here just making faces and all that behind me. It's really hard to do a live when you've got like 4 guys just peering at you, all munching their dinner and shit as well. Normally I'm sitting in a dark room myself, but ZD Electrical, this will do the last question from the public. Guys, also please give us a like and subscribe. ZD Electrical, what do you guys think of the CaliCube product? It just manipulates the SERP, and the owner says you don't even need links or real large content on page. Does anyone know what this CaliCube product is?
I mean, I don't know what the product is, but that them saying that you don't need links or large content on page, that of course is true. You just need the CTR.
I think, I'm not sure, right? I know a guy called Jason Bernard who has a brand called CaliCube, and he is talking about brand SERPs, trying to get the knowledge panel and a lot of that stuff. So I'm not sure if you've missed that information. I'm not sure what Jason said. He's a great guy. He's knowledgeable. He focuses a lot on brand SERPs and knowledge graphs. So I'm not sure if you've picked something up wrong along the lines and maybe misunderstood what he said. But if it is the CaliCube of Jason Bernard, he does give a lot of great information away, and I have interviewed him on that stuff and knows his stuff on that front. So it's a different game he's playing from the game that we all play. But on that note,
interesting,
we can all ask each other questions, including Mr. Dooley here in the background, if anyone wants to ask him anything. He's eating, but if anyone wants to squeeze something out of him, squeeze it.
So I do have a question. So Holly, with what you're doing with the GMBs and with the phones, how sticky is that? Meaning, so you're going to take somebody, you're going to get them onto page 1. I mean, we know that works, but how long would you expect that to stay?
So the sticky is kind of sticky. If you don't have organic traffic, and this is just any CTR anyways, but if you don't have organic traffic to support that keyword at that number position, whatever you're at, it's not going to stay there. So what I recommend to the people that I have done this for is say, hey, go buy 10, I almost always say 10. I mean, 7 to 10 cell phones. It's probably going to cost you $1,000 with the hotspot or something. And just when I leave, just keep, if you can, just keep driving. If you have employees, just keep driving and keep doing the keyword just to get the traffic there. If you don't do it, that doesn't mean that it's going to drop, but it just means that keyword is not, Google is going to think that, hey, that keyword, I mean, they're going to know type of a situation. So they're going to drop it back down. So if you can't support that keyword there, in any circumstance that you do CTR, it's not going to work. That's why people think and say CTR doesn't work, because once the traffic stops, it drops. Well, of course it's going to drop.
Right,
that's so the stickiness is sort of like how much effort you want to put into it after I leave.
And some of it, I would think as well. So, we do some CTR, but and what I've found is that once you get it where you want it, so ranking on the first page or in the map pack, that then it begins to kind of organically kind of create its own traffic as well.
Ideally,
and so
yeah.
it helps with that. And so if you back off of the CTR, if it gets pulled out completely,
Right.
that organic, because it's been there to begin, now that it does kind of, that's what I was wondering, if it'll just naturally begin to support it.
Like my Las Vegas stuff that I did, I didn't go back afterwards and it dropped off. But I knew it was going to drop off because I wasn't supporting the driving, wasn't supporting the keywords. So yeah, I got to the first page, but dropped off because it didn't support it. So that's pretty.
Now, can I ask one more question? So when you take a client and you do this, do you like go and kind of really ensure that their GMB profile is like fully optimized, just banging?
No, I don't care what their GMB looks like. I don't care what their linking strategy at all. It's just, it's a one-off. Like if you hire me to do it, I pad the traffic and then I get there. I do what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
Chris, you must you're
Dude, I'm pulling. I was just thinking about Holly Stark's pulling up with 100 phones. I lose my fucking mind.
Behind her. That's what I want to see. Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
It's coming this summer.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I thought that was an interesting topic because I have to agree, because when we first led into this conversation, we were really putting referring domains versus traffic. So, and you guys are in the camp, and so am I, that you're like, if the metrics are off, the site's complete garbage, but it's a Google News approved site, meaning that it has low metrics, doesn't really have any links, but it's getting traffic. That's more valuable than getting a link from a site that has great metrics, great referring domain, super highly topical. So is that what you're saying? Do you think that a Google News site is going to outweigh the rankability of a good quality link? So it's traffic versus links, really, is what we're getting at here.
Is it going to rank higher than a good quality link?
Yeah. Do you think that's better than getting links, or just part of a?
Yeah. As soon as it gets on the page indexed, it's going to be ranking, unless you're doing some stupidly competitive term. And I don't do competitive terms. I do like easy. I mean, you guys know I do the KPR stuff. But as soon as it gets indexed, and I don't know if press releases are the same way. I just know for the Google News Network, as soon as the post gets indexed, I know that generally it's going to be on the first 3 pages. If I don't send supporting content or supporting links or set up a RSS syndication or do something to that URL, it's going to react like any URL. It's going to start falling backwards. So if you just come out and you just make a bunch of links, it's going to give you an initial boost, but you have to support it.
Of course.
Similar on the PRs. And that's why one of the things that we like to do is called, we do some PR stacking. Yeah. And then that just keeps the stuff up there.
So what is the difference between a PR and a Google News Network?
Press release.
Because you're the press release dude.
Well, I do it all.
Right?
I got it all.
So what? But I don't understand. Because I didn't.
So
make
the press release.
Network. So what's the difference?
Well, so when we distribute through our press release network as well, we're obviously getting picked up on some Google News sites as well. So that's part of, as and Google's news site. But then we're getting out into some other, Yahoo platforms and all of these other platforms. But I think in the eyes of Google, I think it would come down to basically looking at an individual domain and looking at that authority of that particular domain. Mm-hmm. So like I have some of those Google News sites in our own network as well, and some have very low kind of domain ranking scores or metrics compared to some of the other press release news networks that we distribute out to and then they publish on.
So like I did could we just have this conversation? Is that okay with you guys?
I'm happy with that.
Okay. So like I did a test on some clickbait products and another product. And if you guys know who Chris Munch is, he has a PR thing. So like I wanted to see how my Google News sites compared to his PR network. And so what he did, so he was working on, I don't know how his clients, I know they were probably at least 2 weeks out that they were posting. And then I did it across, there was only 10 sites and I was number 3. So, and his were press releases too. So that's why I'm like, I don't know which one is stronger, if there is a stronger one or if there's like,
now I
built the same thing that you have. You call it a press release. I call it a Google.
But
News.
I still think it comes down to the back end. So like you put it out there. So you do one article and if you throw it out, whether you want to call it a release, I still think it matters on the distribution network or if you put it out in the Google News network as well. If you float them out there, are they going to be the same? I don't think so, but I haven't tested that exactly yet. But the other aspect, though, is what you do with that article and help support it with other tier 2, tier 3 kind of activity.
Right. Because that article was syndicated out to a bunch of different tiers.
Right.
But I just like, I want to say I'm a press release, but it's not a press release. Or is it a press release?
Well, and here's the other aspect about it, though. So in a press release, as you're writing the press release and putting it out, so through the distribution network that I have, there's certain kind of parameters, we'll say some guidelines about writing it and how it has to be presented versus when we're doing and we call them guest posts. So when we're doing our guest posts out on our Google News site network, that can look very, very different than what a typical press release looks like.
So it's more like a cosmetic thing.
Well, I don't know. Some of it is cosmetic. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be.
The press releases go out to like properties you obviously don't own.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they get picked up with thousands, and a Google News network is just
exactly. And some of those other news site networks then RSS feed out to, where the heck else? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
And they get organically picked up. I mean, we have stuff that we'll put out and they'll get picked up by some, small magazine out on Long Island for some reason, but because they just picked up an RSS feed that,
that might be one of my sites. That
Randy, do you have anything? Because we are nearly short. We're nearly finished. Do you have anything for Chris or Dooley you want to ask?
Dooley, what are you having for lunch?
What?
Chicken wings for Nando's.
Oh, chicken wings, good.
Hey, Dooley, did your video drop?
Which one?
The one that I was hold your beer one for?
Oh, I don't know much yet. I can't remember which one it was. I'll speak to you after that. No, it's not. It's still there.
Okay.
Holly, you're helping his videos rank.
It was funny. We did a test and I was like, have you done this new method? And I think he just wanted, because we were doing that mastermind and I was like, here, hold my beer, give me 5 minutes. And I think it took 5 minutes and it popped in. Yeah.
I love how Holly always does that. A little seed. What's that new method, Holly? That's what I want to know.
She's got what?
The problem is,
she did what?
It's still ranking, Holly. It's still ranking. But the thing is, I've got a massive problem with this whole situation because he's told me it's his method, and now I've just found out it's your method. So who owns his method? This is the problem you've got here, Chris. These guys, Dooley will pull in the likes of Holly to do shit, and then he'll pass it off as his own work. And he does. He's sitting there saying,
I purposely do not pass anything to your own way.
He's like, I've got this YouTube shit. He phoned me like a few weeks ago telling me, and I'm not pissed. I don't even drink, by the way, Craig Mullins. I do not even drink alcohol. So there you go. Sober as a judge. Chris Palmer, if you get anything for Chris Palmer, Holly, or Randy, extort one last knowledge bomb from Chris before we finish off. And this is not mine. This is again.
It doesn't ring. It doesn't ring.
This is Dooley's way of trying to stitch people up and put things in your hand. But yeah, one last thing to extort what we can from Chris. You guys have got, in fact, one question each from Randy, one from Holly. Extort something from this man.
Let me hit you up. So, Chris, one main knowledge bomb from your presentation at the SEO Master Summit. One thing that you'd say, this is the killer nugget right here.
Well, I just think that the best thing with traffic is people forget the brand. They're targeting keywords consistently, but they forget brand. I think that that's a major fault with most of these traffic campaigns. That's the big takeaway.
Yep.
Holly, have you anything for Chris?
So I'm probably going to put you on the spot. Maybe, I don't know. So there is a new YouTube method out there for shorts.
Okay.
Are you going to make a course? Look, he's smiling because I'm doing it, but I'm missing something. And so I want to see if you're going to put a course out on it.
I was playing around with it. I have a couple other channels. I'm just playing around with that. Actually, I think I have thought about it, but I just don't know how lucrative it would be, to be honest. Like
to make a course or to use the method?
Well, to use the method, I think would be awesome. But
and I think YouTube can pick up on it.
Potentially, yes. But as far as the training, I don't know if there's enough. Not my circle, not enough guys that would be interested in that. I'm super interested. I'm just curious, but I don't know if other people would be. So,
also a question for you all, or for Holly and Chris. I'm not sure how skilled Randy is at YouTube. He may be a demon, so you can answer. Does this new YouTube method involve using video software?
Does it involve? It's helpful. Yes.
I don't know.
Come on, you Chris, man. This don't know stuff.
I'm just walking around.
We're not far away from Chris. We could drive there.
Yeah, I know.
Them up and get them.
I have no idea because I really don't do a whole lot of YouTube. And
I do have a question with these press releases, though, because I'm curious about this, right? And Randy's definitely the guy to ask. The stacking method, right? So we're dealing with press releases. We're primarily looking at no follow, right? And
depends.
Of course,
depends on the platform. So yeah.
So my question really lies is because I love press releases. I'm a big fan of them. The initial burst. So my question is, as an upsell, stacking, because there are no follow one to another. Just as a proposal or to give to somebody to explain that, how is there benefit when all the links are no follow?
So because we're stacking and then we're interlinking the PRs, but we're linking with the links that I know are do follow.
Perfect. Okay. Makes sense. Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you done a test, Chris, of just no follow links to see if it's ranking?
I've
helps the ranking?
Not a whole burst of them, but I have tried one. I think I issued that publicly. But yeah, I've tested it out. The no follows do pass power.
Oh yeah.
So do you just want do follow links, or is that what you focus on then?
No, it's hard. I'm talking about, like, say somebody wants to purchase. It's very hard to have somebody comprehend this concept that no follow actually passes power. So to explain an upsell of, hey, get another one to stack and to interlink and maybe do that 3 or 4 times, that would be a hard concept to pitch. I was just curious of I like your explanation.
Dooley has a theory on this for you, Chris, as well. So I'll let Dooley explain his bit.
Right. With regards to this stacking, we do a lot of press releases as well, buying from various vendors. Craig says brand is amazing, so I'd recommend obviously using it if Craig says it's good. But we don't just do the press releases just for ranking, obviously, where the link's going through to. We'll do it for ranking GMBs, for YouTube, for images as well. Right. And when you start stacking those, then yes, 100% it helps you ranking your videos in YouTube, not just in YouTube, but in Google search better. The Google videos, not for me, not enough people talk about ranking images, because images for a lot of search drive a hell of a lot of traffic. And if you start putting images within press releases as well, and you're doing the Google stacking and tier 2s and tier 3s behind it, maybe using scrape box and a few other bits, then it helps for all that. And plus what you just mentioned as well, with regards to no follow being powered up, actually, it might not pass power and juice, but it still passes trust and relevance. So for that reason, then, yes, I would definitely, from our results, the tier 2s and tier 3s behind the press release has definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it all comes around as well on the press releases, especially when you're stacking, is really have some contemplation on how and what you're linking. So as Dooley's like, we're doing a lot of different kinds of linking strategies. We're linking to different properties, GMBs, we're linking images, clickable images, we're interlinking the PRs themselves. So we go into branded foundational sites as well. So it's all part of a bigger strategy.
Cool.
Makes sense. There is a few guys saying, can you ask the last question and all that stuff. Sadly, guys, we've not been able to answer all of the questions from people who have asked questions. There's a lot of good questions there, but we are out of time, and I don't want to take up everyone's day. I'm sure Holly and Randy and Chris have got other things to crack on with. So we didn't get to all the questions, so apologies for that, but we wanted to use that last 10 minutes just to bounce a few things around, which was always good. And as I say, it was always a pleasure to have Holly and Randy on. Chris is always on, I'm always on, so you know us well. But if you haven't checked out Holly Starks, I'm sure you can find her on YouTube and on our Facebook and whatever else, or hollystarks.com. Randy, the PR guy, as I will call him, you can find Randy. Randy, have you got a website up and running?
38digitalmarket.com.
Good man. I just know, I always give out your legit link, which I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but 38 Digital Market. Dooley's saying I've not to introduce him or say thanks, but he's saying no, he doesn't want anyone to know who he is. The guys that are stigs at home in the boxer shorts, that's what Dooley calls you. He doesn't want you to contact him. That's the type of guy he is. But seriously, thank you everyone for joining us. I just do have a like and subscribe on the channel, and do check out the other guys. They've all got their own stuff going on as well, so they give out a lot of content. And also Holly's News Network.
Holly's News Network.
And there he goes.
Network. And Holly Goes Live, I saw too on Tuesday.
I think we're still got a feed going on there. I'm seeing.
Yeah, the feed's running, but yeah. I think that's it.
That's
well, it's been a big pleasure. Thank you guys.
Hey, well, thanks for having us on. That was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed it. So, all right.
Is the
See
feed
everybody.
gonna keep running?
That's what I'm wondering. There he's back.